We begin here tonight with the tit-for-tat tariffs.
President Trump started the day by retaliating for a 25% surcharge on Canadian electricity that lights up homes in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. He hit back hard, smashing a 50% tariff over the border on Canadian aluminum and steel.
Premier Doug Ford of Ontario responded by rescinding the electricity surcharge, as well as his threat to cut off power entirely.
The president was up next. Late today, he reduced the 50% metals tariff to 25%.
For investors, it was like watching a tennis match. At one point, the major stock indexes were off about 1.5% before recovering some of their losses by the close of trading.
Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes talked to one of the generals in the trade war, Commerce Secretary Howard LUTNICK. Nancy?
John, good evening. LUTNICK insisted today that President Trump's unpredictable tariff moves will actually benefit the economy by year's end. But consumer confidence is falling right along with the markets.
Our country had to do this.
His announcement this morning caught the financial world off guard. 50% tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum. But by this afternoon, it was off after Ontario's premier agreed to drop his new 25% tariff on electricity going to the U.S.
We have both agreed. Let cooler heads prevail.
By then, however, the Dow had tumbled another 1%. Since Thursday, it has fallen more than 2.5%.
The markets are going to learn. Let the deal maker make his deals.
Commerce Secretary Howard LUTNICK brokered today's truce with the Ontario Premier.
What is really being accomplished with all of these 1 or 2 day tariffs that end up getting yanked?
Well, when you're negotiating with someone and they're not paying attention and they're disagreeing, the president, who's the best deal maker ever to sit in that chair, is going to say, here's my response. And then all of a sudden, shockingly, they respond.
And yet the prospect of an aggressive trade war has prompted both J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs to bump up the risk of a recession this year.
Will these policies be worth it if they lead to a recession, even a short-term recession?
These policies are the most important thing America has ever had.
So it is worth it.
It is worth it. I don't think the only reason there could possibly be a recession is because of the Biden nonsense that we had to live with. These policies produce revenues.
So you're saying when it looks chaotic and unpredictable from the outside, that there actually is a master plan when it comes to these tariffs?
It is not chaotic. And the only one who thinks it's chaotic is someone who's being silly. He said reciprocal tariffs.
Nobody expected him to announce 50% tariffs this morning.
He needed to break some guy in Ontario who said he was going to tax American energy 25%. The president of the United States in the White House says, "Oh, no, you won't," and breaks him. And you think that's chaotic?
Okay, Nancy, so after all that, where do we stand tonight?
Well, Maurice, we're back to where we were essentially this weekend, which is the U.S. has imposed 25% tariffs on some Canadian goods, and Canada has responded in kind. And LUTNICK says Trump is still on track to impose reciprocal tariffs on countries around the globe in early April, which means whatever they tax us, we tax them, which will likely lead to a lot more standoffs like the one we saw today.
Nancy, the Commerce Secretary says this is all worth it. Remind us what the it is, which is to say, what's all this supposed to accomplish?
Well, President Trump's theory is that if he taxes goods coming from overseas, that it will incentivize companies to move production back to the United States, which will create American jobs. But to make big decisions like that, companies normally need certainty. They need to know that policies are unchanging. And a new survey, John, of CEOs this month finds that they are more pessimistic about the state of the economy than they have been at any time since the start of the pandemic.
Okay, Nancy Cordes at the White House, thank you.